The evidence speaks a forensic documentation of systematic state persecution in Australian democracy, an investigative analysis of 2000 plus primary source documents, 1990 to 2025, by independent analysis based on the evidence archive of Dr. Richard William McLean. Executive summary. This article documents what may be the most comprehensive evidence collection of systematic state persecution ever assembled by an individual within a Western democracy. Over 2,000 primary source documents spanning 35 years, 1990 to 2025, paint an undeniable picture of coordinated persecution against Dr. Richard William McLean, a disabled, LGBTQ+ whistleblower and award-winning mental health advocate. The evidence reveals 4 unprecedented categories of abuse. Direct assassination threats from government officials, the most sophisticated identity theft documented in Australian history, 350 plus fraudulent business registrations, systematic financial destruction across 8 plus regulatory agencies totaling $6.50 plus million in denied claims, forced internal exile from home state orchestrated by federal cabinet minister, estimated total damages, $32.9 million. Part I. The assassination threat. The Tony Riddle statement. The most explosive evidence in this archive is a direct death threat from a government official. You will be sacrificed. Perpetrator. Tony Riddle. Manager. National Disability Insurance Agency. NDIA. Position. Quality and Compliance Division. Upper management background. XSAS Special Air Service soldier. Black Hawk crash survivor context. Statement made during official NDIS proceedings status. Witnessed and recorded. Primary evidence. NDIS public interest disclosure. Corroborating documentation. Criminal complaint. Springvale Police. January 6, 2025. Statutory declaration under Commonwealth Statutory Declarations Act 1959. Hospital briefing documentation. Why this evidence is significant. Criminal violation. Prima facie a violation of Australian Criminal Code. Threats to kill. Aggravating factors. Made by official with military special forces training. In official capacity. To disabled person under agency care. Government response. Zero investigation despite multiple reports to oversight bodies. Pattern evidence. Part of broader documented harassment campaign. As documented in the academic analysis, if a government official with special forces training tells a disabled whistleblower you will be sacrificed, and this threat is witnessed, recorded, and officially reported, at what point does a democracy's failure to investigate become complicity in the threat itself? Part 2. Identity annihilation. 350 plus fraudulent registrations. The ASIC Evidence Discovery September 2024. Forensic Analysis of Australian Securities and Investments Commission, ASIC. Records revealed what analysts have termed the most sophisticated identity theft documented in Australian history. Scale of fraud. 350 plus fraudulent business registrations, 2020 to 2024, using Dr. McLean's legal names, creative identities, domain names, and intellectual property, without consent or knowledge, coordinated across 4 plus years. Primary fraudulent entity example, ABN, 78-833-496-164, registered name, the trustee for www.berendager.com.au, registration date, August 7, 2022, current status, remains active despite criminal complaints. Primary evidence, ABN lookup record ASIC current details, identity elements stolen, category, stolen elements, legal names, Richard McLean, Dr. Richard William McLean, creative identities, Baron Dodger, domain names, www.berendager.com.au, www.richmclean.com.au, professional credentials, PhD, Med, BFA, ASDIP CAD, awards, SANE Australia Book of the Year, VHREOC Human Rights Award, intellectual property, books, artwork, speeches. Why this evidence is significant. The philosophical question raised by this evidence. If 350 plus fraudulent businesses can be registered in one person's name over 4 years using publicly verifiable ASIC records, and 10 oversight bodies refuse to investigate, is this identity theft, or is this state-sponsored identity erasure? As the definitive academic paper concludes, individual criminals do not create 350 plus corporate registrations. This requires institutional resources, ASIC system access, coordinated strategic planning, state-level sophistication, government response, ASIC, refused to investigate, police, did not act when I reported this crime, 10 plus oversight bodies, all rejected complaints, ATO, cancelled victims' legitimate ABN while fraudulent registrations remain active. Financial damage, $7.8 million in brand dilution and identity destruction. Part 3, Forced Exile, the Bill Shorten Connection, a federal minister's weaponization of power. The evidence documents how then NDIS Minister Bill Shorten weaponized a desperate email from a disabled person in crisis. The communication, Dr. McLean, experiencing a mental health crisis, sent correspondence to Minister Shorten reporting death threats against him and seeking help. The response, email deliberately mischaracterized as a death threat against Shorten, colluded with police to detain and charge with indictable offense, obtained arrest warrant from magistrate, threatened with hospitalization and 10 years in jail. Magistrate signed warrant despite knowing McLean was homeless in another state. Primary evidence, advocacy document asylum application framework. The outcome, internal exile. Current status, exiled from home state of Victoria, cannot return without arrest, living in New South Wales after period of homelessness, banned from contacting the agency responsible for his care, seeking asylum within the same democracy where I am a citizen, as documented in betrayed, forsaken, murdered. He's chosen to intimidate, brutalize, and excommunicate me from my own society, and as the head of the agency that is obligated for my care, he demonstrates complicity in my abuse. Why this evidence is significant? This represents unprecedented use of ministerial power against a disabled constituent, political targeting, senior cabinet minister personally intervening against homeless disabled person, state resources weaponized, government machinery used against individual citizen, judicial corruption, magistrate signed warrant without proper evidence, internal displacement, meets UN definitions for forced displacement. Part IV, the 2021 medical crisis, persecution-induced brain injury, a fatal suicide attempt, date, February 2021, location, Werribee Mercy Hospital. Hospital classification, fatal and lethal injury. Medical status, found unresponsive, no observable pulse, revived from clinical death resulting condition, permanent acquired brain injury. Primary evidence, philosophical academic paper website documentation, causation chain. The suicide attempt occurred during a documented escalation of persecution, systematic denial of workers' compensation, NDIS support denied, VOCAT victims of crime, claims rejected, financial destruction across multiple agencies, no avenue for appeal or relief. Why this evidence is significant? If a documented persecution, induced suicide attempt results in permanent brain injury confirmed by hospital records, and 0 agencies acknowledge persecution as cause, is this a medical event or evidence that the persecution was designed to appear self-inflicted? Compensation. 0 settlement despite hospital duty of care cover-up, multiple oversight bodies, HCC, MHCC, APRA, Victorian Ombudsman, refused to investigate. Part V, systematic financial destruction, the $6.50 plus million denial pattern. The evidence reveals coordinated denial of legitimate claims across every possible agency. Agency, claim type, amount, status, NDIS NDIA, disability support, ongoing, systematically denied. VOCAT, victims compensation violent attack, rejected. VOCAT, child sexual abuse, cited as doomed by magistrate. AHRC, superannuation human rights, $1 plus million, truncated by commission. Work cover, workers' compensation 2021, $800,000, never paid. HCF, income assist 2021, denied. AFCA, financial complaints, $2 plus million, banned after deliberate delay. Primary evidence, life under siege document and CAD statement. The pattern, by 2022, the compounded financial abuse reached a devastating peak. When my superannuation claim was rejected by the AHRC, I suffered a loss of over $1 million, truncated by the commission. Key finding, a federal court document confirmed Dr. McLean's employment status, yet workers' compensation was still denied on the basis that he was not an employee. Part 6, total damages assessment, forensic analysis, $32.9 million. Category, amount, Evidence. Identity theft and corporate fraud. $7.8 million. ASIC records. 350 plus registrations. Professional destruction. $5.2 million. Brand dilution. Career destruction. Direct financial losses. $4.9 million. Denied claims across agencies. Human rights violations. $15 plus million. 35 years systematic persecution. Total. $32.9 million. 2,000 plus primary documents. Part 7. International law implications. UNHCR refugee status criteria met. The evidence establishes eligibility under international refugee law. Tick. Persecution by state actors. Documented across 25 plus agencies. Tick. Political opinion targeting. Whistleblower persecution. Tick. Social group membership. Disabled advocate. Gay man. Tick. Government unwilling, unable to protect. Government is the perpetrator. Tick. Systematic. Ongoing persecution. 35 plus year documented pattern. Rome Statute. Crimes against humanity. The evidence supports allegations under international criminal law. Widespread persecution. Multiple government agencies involved. Systematic attacks. Coordinated denial of basic rights. Torture elements. Psychological warfare designed to destroy mental health. Forced displacement. Exile from home state. Primary evidence. State persecution case study narrative of life. Conclusion. What this evidence means for Australian democracy. This evidence archive represents a stress test of democratic accountability mechanisms, and every mechanism failed. Police refused to investigate assassination threats. ASIC refused to investigate 350 plus fraudulent registrations. AHRC truncated legitimate human rights claims. Ombudsman rejected complaints without investigation. Courts signed arrest warrants without evidence. Politicians weaponized power against disabled constituent. For international protection, the comprehensiveness of this evidence establishes one of the strongest asylum cases ever documented from within a Western democracy. The persecution is documented. 2,000 plus primary source files. Systematic. Coordinated across 25 plus agencies. Ongoing. 35 plus years with no resolution. Life-threatening. Direct assassination threat. Persecution-induced brain injury. For human rights law, this case creates precedent for targeted individual recognition in democratic nations, intersectional persecution vulnerability, disability plus LGBTQ plus whistleblower, corporate identity warfare as persecution methodology, state complicity through systematic inaction. The final question. The evidence asks one fundamental question of anyone who reviews it. If 2,000 plus documents spanning 35 years document systematic persecution by a government against one of its own citizens, and every domestic mechanism has failed, what recourse remains except international protection? The answer is written in the evidence itself. Evidence archive access. Total files. 2077 primary source documents. Time span. 1990 to 2025, 35 plus years. Format. Official correspondence. Court filings. Medical records. ASIC registrations. Police reports. Agency denials. Statutory declarations. Key document collections. Definitive academic paper. Crimes against humanity. Statutory declaration. Perpetrators named. If I die, who is responsible? Asylum application framework. Philosophical academic analysis. This article was compiled through forensic analysis of the evidence archive maintained at AI Drive. All citations linked to primary source documents. The evidence speaks for itself. Document created. January 2026. Evidence archive location. Evidence folder files analyzed. 2034 documents across all agency folders. About the subject. Dr. Richard William McLean. Baron Dodger. PhD. Victoria University 2020. Award-winning author. Recovered. Not cured. A Journey Through Schizophrenia. SANE Australia Book of the Year recipient. VHREOC Human Rights Award recipient. Nationally celebrated mental health advocate. Disability rights advocate. Currently, internal exile. Seeking international protection. The evidence doesn't just document persecution, it documents the systematic failure of every protection mechanism that should have prevented it. Capital I.